Hello everyone. Welcome back in my second part of control and coordination. In first part we learnt about control and coordination in plants. Now we are going to start with control and coordination in human being. And in this module we are going to discuss about endocrine system. As we all are aware of that there are mainly two ways of control and coordination in animals. The first way is chemical signaling, that is done via hormones, and the second way is electrical signaling, that is done via nerve impulses. The hormones are released by endocrine glands, and these glands together form a system called endocrine system. So in this particular module we are going to study about the first type of chemical signaling. Now a new term is there, that is gland. What is a gland? It is an organ or a tissue that is made up of secretory cells which are producing a particular product, and that product is having a particular role to perform. These glands are of three types based on whether they possess a duct or not, and this duct is usually used to deliver a product that is synthesized by the gland. Endocrine gland, exocrine gland and mixed gland. Endocrine are also known as ductless, exocrine are also known as duct possessing glands, and mixed glands are also called as heterocrine glands. Endocrine glands are those glands which release their hormones directly to the bloodstream. Examples are hypothalamus, pituitary, adrenal, etc. Apart from endocrine glands, heart, kidneys, stomach, small intestine are also releasing certain hormones. Exocrine glands are producing the substances apart from the hormones, which they are directly releasing outside of the body or via duct into the bloodstream. For example, sweat, saliva, tears, etc. Examples of the exocrine glands are salivary gland, sweat glands, mammary glands that produces milk in the females, sebaceous gland that produces wax, lacrimal glands that produces tears in the eyes. Mixed glands or heterocrine glands are producing both the types of materials. They have both the regions in them, endocrine as well as exocrine. The endocrine part of these glands are releasing these hormones into the circulatory system, whereas the exocrine part drains the secretions through the ducts. The examples are pancreas, testes and ovaries. Now let's see what are hormones. Hormones are chemical messengers which are secreted directly into the bloodstream. They are produced at one particular place, but they are working at different places so that they have to travel through the bloodstream. The place where they act actually are known as target site. Chemically they are made up of proteins, peptides or steroids. Now let's see some characteristics of hormones. Hormones are secreted by endocrine glands in very small amount. They are directly secreted into the bloodstream and transported throughout the body via bloodstream. They are chemical messengers that regulate the behavior of the target cell, and they are very specific on the target site. Now let's have a glance at endocrine system and then we will discuss them in detail.
Hey Nerb, I got here as soon as I could. Where are we going today? And why am I dressed like an old-timey hobo?
Isn't it obvious? We're going to learn about the endocrine system.
Yeah, that still makes no sense.
The glands of the endocrine system deliver chemicals called hormones to various parts of your body. They regulate the processes of your body and make sure all the hormones get where they need to go on schedule. And what else runs on schedule and delivers important goods?
Trains! Nerb, are we going to ride the endocrine rail? Oh, I've always wanted to.
Even better, Chloe.
Uh-oh.
We're riding the rails, all right, but not in a train. No, ma'am. We're taking this rusty old handcar.
Joy.
Each gland of the endocrine system produces chemicals called hormones, and each hormone has a different job. The glands are spread out through the body. A lot of them are controlled by a little gland near the base of your brain, called the pituitary.
Thyroid, increase production. Attention ovaries, let's get the estrogen rolling. I've got my own work to do here too. Growth hormone coming up.
This guy's in charge of the entire endocrine system. This guy's tiny.
Who you calling tiny, skinny arms? I may be small, but I'm what makes you big.
It's true, Chloe. The pituitary gland produces growth hormone, which is what makes you grow big and tall. And as you can tell, he's used to giving orders.
I should be. I'm pretty important. Even though the pancreas makes insulin and the nervous system handles adrenaline, I'm still vital endocrine-wise. Now scram. I'm busy.
I hope our next gland is friendlier. Are all those trains hormones?
They sure are. They're my thyroid hormones.
That makes you the thyroid.
Right again. My hormones do a number of jobs, but one of the most important ones is regulating how fast your body uses the calories from the food you eat.
That's called metabolism.
Fancy word!
Next up, the adrenal glands.
Ooh, this should be exciting. Hold on. I thought the adrenal glands were in charge of handling danger and excitement and fun stuff like that. These guys aren't doing anything at all. Hey! Hey, you lazy glands! Wake up!
What? We're napping here.
Don't you think you should be doing your job?
This is our job. Listen, sister, the hormone we make is called adrenaline, and it's very powerful stuff. Only to be used in case of emergency. Is there an emergency?
No.
In that case...
Ah, quick, behind you! Huge angry bear!
And that, my friend, is the power of adrenaline. Wee-haw!
Those rascally glands!
But look how far we came. We thought we were in danger, so our powerful adrenaline kicked in and took us almost all the way to the next gland in 2 seconds flat.
What is that big lump over there?
This big lump is the pancreas. I'm the biggest gland of the endocrine system.
You certainly are. So what do you do, Lump?
Pancreas. I produce insulin. It's a chemical that helps you use energy from the food you eat.
One last question, Lump.
Pancreas. And yes,
Can I jump on you?
go ahead.
Welcome to the final glands of the endocrine system. The reproductive glands. One of the most important things they do is make sure your body goes through the changes of puberty, so you can grow from a child to an adult.
I'm the ovaries. I oversee puberty in girls and excrete a hormone called estrogen.
And I'm the testes. I do the same for boys. My hormone is called testosterone.
Think of us like sports team coaches. I coach the girls' team, he coaches the boys' team.
Go, boy!
Girls rule!
You know, after a long day of pumping adrenaline and pumping a handcar, it feels great to kick back and relax. To the endocrine system, may it always stay on track.
So in this video we had an introduction about endocrine glands. Now we will discuss them one by one in detail.
Human endocrine system. Endocrine glands are present in different parts of the body: pituitary, pineal, thyroid, adrenal, pancreas, parathyroid, thymus, and gonads are the organized endocrine glands in our body. In addition to these, gastrointestinal tract, liver, kidney, heart also produce hormones. 1. Hypothalamus. It lies at the door of the encephalon. It regulates many body functions, It contains several groups of neurosecretory cells which produce hormones. These hormones regulate the synthesis and secretion of pituitary hormones. The hormones produced by hypothalamus are of two types: the releasing hormones and the inhibiting hormones. Example, hypothalamic hormone called gonadotrophin releasing hormone GRH stimulates pituitary synthesis and release of gonadotropins. Somatostatin from hypothalamus inhibits the release of growth hormone from pituitary. These hormones originating in the hypothalamic neurons pass through axons and are released from their nerve endings. These hormones reach the pituitary gland through a portal circulatory system and regulate the functions of anterior pituitary. The posterior pituitary is under the direct neural regulation of hypothalamus. 2. Pituitary gland. Pituitary gland is very small, the size of a large pea seed, but it is a very important gland and it controls the functions of all the other endocrine glands in the body. It is therefore called as master gland of body. The pituitary gland is located in a bony cavity called sella turcica and is attached to hypothalamus by a stalk. It has three parts: anterior, middle, and posterior. Posterior lobe of pituitary is called neurohypophysis, while anterior and middle pituitary lobes are collectively called adenohypophysis. A. Anterior pituitary. 1. Growth hormone or somatotrophin hormone, GH or STH. The hormone stimulates body growth by increased anabolic activity, retention of calcium, synthesis of more proteins, enlargement of long bones, muscles and visceral organs. Increased secretion produces gigantism, height above 2.15 meters, while deficient secretion produces dwarfism, height 1 to 1.3 meters. Excessive secretion of hormone in an adult causes acromegaly, increase in size of bones of hand, feet, and face. 2. Prolactin. Maternity hormone. It stimulates growth of mammary glands during pregnancy and lactation afterwards. 3. Thyroid stimulating hormone, TSH. It stimulates thyroid to produce and release its hormones. 4. Adrenocorticotropic hormone, ACTH. It activates adrenal cortex to produce its hormones. 5. Follicle stimulating hormone, FSH. It stimulates sperm formation in males, growth of ovarian follicles, and secretion of estrogen from them in females. 6. Luteinizing hormone. In females, the hormone stimulates ovulation and secretion of progesterone from corpus luteum. In males, the hormone is also called interstitial cell stimulating hormone, ICSH. It induces Leydig cells of testes to secrete testosterone. FSH and LH hormones are collectively called gonadotrophins or gonadotrophic hormones. B. Middle lobe of pituitary. Melanocyte stimulating hormone, MSH. The hormone causes dispersal of melanin or pigment granules in chromatophores, causing darkening of skin. C. Posterior lobe of pituitary. It produces two hormones which are actually neurosecretion products of hypothalamus. 1. Oxytocin. The hormone stimulates uterine contractions during childbirth and milk ejection during sucking of infant. Oxytocin is also called birth hormone and milk ejection hormone. Milk secretion is under control of prolactin. 2. Vasopressin or antidiuretic hormone, ADH. It is essential for reabsorption of water from distal convoluted tubules, collecting tubules, and collecting ducts for producing concentrated urine. Deficiency of hormone causes disorder known as diabetes insipidus. It produces a lot of urine, more than 1.5 liters per day, at short intervals, resulting in excessive thirst and dehydration. At high concentration, the hormone raises blood pressure, BP, by causing constriction of arterioles. 3. Pineal gland. It is a small stalked body located on the dorsal side of forebrain. The gland secretes hormone called melatonin. It controls mood, sleep, regulates sexual cycle, body temperature. It also influences metabolism, pigmentation, the menstrual cycle, as well as our defense capability. Thyroid gland. It is the largest endocrine gland, which is attached to trachea below larynx. It is bilobed or H-shaped. Thyroid secretes thyroxine. Iodine is required for the production of this hormone. The thyroid gland is composed of follicles and stromal tissues. Each thyroid follicle is composed of follicular cells enclosing a cavity. These follicular cells synthesize two hormones, namely tetraiodothyronine or thyroxine T4 and triiodothyronine T3. Deficiency of dietary iodine causes enlargement of thyroid, which results swelling of neck. This disorder due to hypothyroidism is called goiter. Hypothyroidism during pregnancy causes defective development and maturation of growing baby, leading to stunted growth. Cretinism, mental retardation, low intelligence quotient, abnormal skin, deaf mutism, etc. In adult women, hypothyroidism may cause irregular menstrual cycle, myxedema or puffiness. Due to cancer of thyroid gland or due to the development of nodules of thyroid glands, the rate of synthesis and secretion of the thyroid hormones is increased to abnormal high levels, leading to a condition called hypothyroidism, which adversely affects body physiology. It also leads to protrusion of eyes or exophthalmia, high metabolic rate and leanness. Common salt is compulsorily iodized with Ki, potassium iodide, to provide required iodine to thyroid. Thyroxine controls basal metabolic rate, BMR. It determines the consumption of energy, tendency of the body to gain weight, physical activity, body temperature, heart, physical development, mental development, muscular activity, nervous activity, and sexual development. The hormones also support the process of RBC. It controls the metabolism of carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. Maintenance of water and electrolyte balance is also influenced by thyroid hormones. Thyroid gland also secretes a protein hormone called thyrocalcitonin, TCT, which regulates the blood calcium levels. 5. Parathyroid gland. 4 parathyroid glands are present on the back side of thyroid gland, 1 pair each in the 2 lobes of the thyroid gland. The glands secrete parathormone. The hormone maintains optimum level of blood calcium and phosphorus by reducing their excretion and mobilization from bones when required. Parathyroid hormone increases the calcium levels in the blood. PTH acts on bones and stimulates the process of bone resorption. It also stimulates reabsorption of Ca2+ by renal tubules and increases Ca2+ absorption from digested food. PTH is hypercalcemic hormone, that is, it increases the blood Ca2+ levels. Along with thyrocalcitonin, TCT, it plays a significant role in calcium balance in the body. It is essential for proper functioning of nerves and muscles. If sufficient amounts of this hormone are not produced, bones lose calcium and become soft. If the hormone is in large quantities, the muscles become very active and remain in contracted state, a condition called tetany. 6. Thymus. Thymus gland is a soft, pinkish, lobular structure located on the dorsal side of the heart and aorta. The thymus plays a major role in the development of immune system. This gland secretes a peptide hormone called thymosins. Thymosins play a major role in the differentiation of T lymphocytes, which provide cell-mediated immunity. The size is maximum during puberty, but begins to shrink and becomes microscopic in old age. Thymus is degenerated in old individuals, resulting in decreased production of thymosins. As a result, the immune response of old persons become weak. Pancreas. Pancreas is a mixed gland. A portion of pancreas acts like exocrine gland and another portion acts like an endocrine gland. The cells of endocrine pancreas are called of Langerhans, representing 1 to 2% of pancreatic tissue. They secrete 2 hormones, insulin and glucagon. 1. Insulin. The hormone is produced by beta cells of islet of Langerhans. It is a peptide hormone which plays a major role in the regulation of glucose homeostasis. Insulin promotes the conversion of glucose to glycogen in liver and muscle that is stored in these tissues for future use. Insulin is liberated when the blood glucose levels are high, usually when food is digested and absorbed. If sufficient insulin is not produced, glucose level in blood increases and it is excreted through urine. This is called diabetes mellitus. Diabetes is identified by the presence of sugar in urine. Therefore, diabetic patients take insulin injections regularly. Insulin also affects the metabolism of fats and proteins. Unattended diabetes results in wasting of body tissue, reduced healing power, ketone bodies, blurred vision, and kidney problems. They may end up with gangrene and coma. 2. Glucagon is a peptide hormone secreted by alpha cells of glucagon acts on liver cells and stimulates resulting in an increased blood sugar, hyperglycemia. This hormone stimulates the process of gluconeogenesis, which also contributes to hyperglycemia. Glucagon reduces the cellular glucose uptake and utilization. Thus, glucagon is hyperglycemic hormone. Adrenal gland. They are a pair of yellowish, flat, pyramid-like glands, which lie over the upper end of the kidneys. They look like a cap on the kidney. Each gland has an outer yellow adrenal cortex, an inner reddish-brown adrenal medulla. Adrenal medulla secretes two hormones called adrenaline or epinephrine and non-adrenaline or non-epinephrine. These are commonly called catecholamines. In conditions of physical and mental stress, such as fall in blood sugar levels, or when a person is injured or exposed to cold conditions or suffering with pain, it is also secreted during anger, fear, or grief. It helps the body to face these conditions. It is therefore called fight, fright, and flight. These hormones increase alertness, pupillary dilation, raising of hairs, sweating, etc. The hormone increases blood supply to heart and skeletal muscles. It constricts arterioles and blood supply to skin and gastrointestinal tract. The bronchioles dilate. There is increased rate of breathing, oxygenation, and heartbeat to meet any emergency. Catecholamines stimulate the breakdown of glycogen, resulting in increased concentration of glucose in blood. They also stimulate the breakdown of lipids and proteins. Adrenal cortex can be divided into three layers called zona reticularis, inner layer, zona fasciculata, middle layer, zona glomerulosa, outer layer. Adrenal cortex secretes many hormones called corticoids. A. Glucocorticoids, involved in carbohydrate metabolism, example, cortisol. B. Mineralocorticoids, corticoids which regulate the balance of water and electrolytes in our body, example, aldosterone. Glucocorticoids stimulate gluconeogenesis, lipolysis, and proteolysis and inhibit cellular uptake and utilization of amino acids. Cortisol is also involved in maintaining the cardiovascular system and kidney functions. It also produces anti-inflammatory reactions and suppresses the immune response. Cortisol stimulates RBC production. Aldosterone acts at renal tubules and stimulates reabsorption of Na+ and water excretion of K+ and PO4-. Thus, aldosterone helps in the maintenance of electrolytes, body fluid volume, osmotic pressure, and BP. Small amount of androgenic steroids are also secreted by adrenal cortex, which play a role in the growth of axial hair, pubic hair, and facial hair during puberty.
Gonads, the male reproductive organ, testes and the female reproductive organ, ovaries, are the two types of gonads. They produce hormones which are collectively called sex hormones. A small quantity of androgens are produced in females in the adrenal cortex and ovary. Similarly, some estrogens are produced in the males in the adrenal cortex and testis. But the overproduction may lead to the development of secondary sexual characters of the opposite sex. Gonads are the reproductive structures and consist of testis, ovaries, corpus luteum. Testis, the interstitial cells located between the seminiferous tubules, produce hormones called androgens. Of them, the most common is testosterone. It is responsible for the development of male secondary sexual characters. Ovaries. In female, the follicular cells and corpus luteum secrete a number of hormones. The follicular cells produce estrogen, which control the female secondary sexual characters such as broadening of pelvis, development of breasts, growth of uterus and vagina, appearance of pubic hair, sweetening of voice, and onset of menstrual cycle. Corpus luteum. Corpus luteum is formed by empty follicle and produce progesterone. It decreases the level of FSH. So, maturation of new ovum and follicle is checked. It prepares the endometrium for implantation of the embryo. It maintains pregnancy, so it is called pregnancy hormone. It stimulates the growth of breast and mammary gland during pregnancy. It suppresses the contraction of uterine muscles during pregnancy.
Now let's understand how exactly the amount of hormone produced is regulated. And the answer is feedback mechanism. Let's see what is it.
Feedback mechanism. The timing and amount of hormone release are regulated by feedback mechanisms. Insulin and glucagon are two hormones produced and released by pancreas responsible for controlling the metabolic directions that fuel molecules take. Let us first study about insulin. The glucose is absorbed by the small intestine and released into the blood. Increasing level of glucose in blood stimulates pancreas to release insulin into the bloodstream. Insulin promotes uptake of glucose by all cells of the body. Cells break glucose as metabolic fuel. Fat cells and adipose tissues use glucose to make fat. Liver cells use glucose to make glycogen and fat. As time passes, the cells continue to take glucose and blood glucose levels decrease. The low level of glucose signals the pancreas to stop insulin release. Without glucose, the cells switch to glycogen and fatty acid. Glycogen converts to glucose and fats to fatty acids, which is used by cells instead of glucose. Effect of glucagon. If a meal is skipped, the glucose level falls below the normal level. This triggers the release of glucagon from the pancreas. The glucagon induces the liver to break glycogen into glucose. Liver cell release glucose into the blood, which maintains the blood glucose level. Without the signal from very low glucose levels, the pancreas stops secreting glucagon and the cycle is completed.